A film that I saw recently was Dunkirk, and so I was going to review that, but then I remembered that I'd watched an even better film. And it's the film that everyone's been talking about, just because, you know, it's not that good. When I say it's not that good, I mean it's the best film of the fucking year. It's absolute garbage. Obviously I mean the Emoji Movie. Yeah, okay, let's just get into it. The Emoji Movie is set inside a phone in the land of emojis. Can't remember what it's called. I think it might be Textopolis. And all the emojis have one specific role. They all have one specific thing to do. So the happy emoji has to be happy all the time. The grumpy emoji has to be grumpy all the time. And then we have the protagonist, Gene, voiced by T.J. Miller, who generally picks good films to be in. He is the meh emoji, meaning he's supposed to be emotionless, he's supposed to be bored and dull all the time, but tragically, he's doing his job wrong. Instead of just being meh all the time, he's showing a bunch of different emotions. Sometimes he laughs, sometimes he's angry. He's a complex boy, and him being a complex boy causes havoc in the phone world and in the real world, because there's a boy called Alex trying to text his crush, but he doesn't know what emojis to send her. And Gene, because he can't stick to being the meh emoji, fucks it up. So they're going to delete him from the phone. The big baddie, who is the happy emoji, because irony, she is going to delete him from the phone for being a nuisance, for being a glitch. So T.J. Miller as emoji T.J. Miller teams up with the high five emoji, voiced by James Corden. James Corden is one of the most annoying people in the world. He's a bad actor. He's an even worse voice actor, apparently, is what I learned from this film. And he's just really annoying. And imagine everything that is annoying about James Corden. So, how lively he is, how unfunny he is. Take that and put him into a comedy film. James Corden helps T.J. Miller escape from Textopolis and access the rest of the phone, where they're gonna go on the hunt for a hacker who can fix Gene and make him the meh emoji he was always supposed to be. Which is when they meet, wild stuff, jailbreak, and she is a hacker voiced by Anna Faris. And I don't want to be insensitive or jump to conclusions, but I think this film is probably why she's getting a divorce. No, I think Chris Pratt might have been like, it's a step too far, honey. There's also a subplot, like I said, there's a subplot about Alex in the real world trying to text his crush an emoji, and he doesn't know what one. There's another subplot about the happy emojis scheme to delete Gene from the phone, and there is a third subplot, which I really wish I didn't have to say. There is a third subplot about Gene's parents trying to find him. They're going out into the rest of the phone. They've left Textopolis as well. They're going out into the rest of the phone to look for him. And there's also a thing about how they might break up. Like, they have tensions and they have arguments and they separate for a while. This is a kid's film, and the meh emojis break up, and it doesn't serve the plot at all. Now, one of the main things about this film is product placement. Every app that you see in the film is basically put there because that app in the real world has paid Sony to put the app in the film. And I can tell you for a fact which two paid the most money to be in this film. They were Candy Crush and Just Dance. I usually don't have a problem with product placement, especially if it's done well or in a funny way. Like in Power Rangers, they were paid by Krispy Kreme to endorse Krispy Kreme, and so instead of just have their products scattered about the film, they went all out with it, and they had an entire plot based around an important gemstone being hidden underneath a Krispy Kreme. That's how you do product placement in a clever and amusing way. When it's just put there in your face, like, hey, these companies are fucking paying us, watch the film, then it's not good. And that's what the Emoji Movie does. For example, at one point they end up in the Candy Crush app, and Gene, unpredictably, ends up stuck in the Candy Crush game, and so the next 5 or 6 minutes of screen time is Jailbreak and High Five playing a game of Candy Crush. Also, they end up in the Just Dance app, which is a new app, by the way, which you can download for iOS and Android. One sec, I'm just gonna quickly go get it. It will please you to know, actually, that since I saw this film, I have gone out and got myself a Sony phone, but that wasn't because of the Emoji Movie, I promise. I promise that that's not because of the Emoji Movie. But anyway, yeah, there's a new Just Dance app available for iOS and Android, and they clearly paid a shit ton of money to be featured in this film, because Gene and Jailbreak and High Five go into the Just Dance app and they just play a game of Just Dance, and every time I thought it was going to be over, it wasn't. When I watched it, I timed how long they were in the Just Dance app for, and I can't remember exactly, but I think it was roughly like 5 minutes, 15 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds. It was a long fucking time. In a film that isn't very long, 5 minutes of screen time dedicated to playing a game of Just Dance is too fucking much. Also in this film, they tried to be hip and current and go with like what trends are popular at the moment. But you know how trends come and go very quickly nowadays? They are gone within like a month, usually. It's really clear that parts of the script were written really early 2017 and not updated when the film ended up being released in late 2017. For example, at one point, Gene's parents, who by the way are the best characters, them being boring and not having any emotions for a third of the screen time really doesn't get boring. It definitely isn't overdone. They end up in the YouTube app, and they had to choose, obviously, they had to choose a video to show that would encapsulate current trends, current interests, you know, what's the hottest thing of 2017. And they went with pen, pineapple, apple pen, and that was the very moment that I felt my soul depart from my body. Also, something that I haven't mentioned, Patrick Stewart was in this film as Poop. It's really clear that he came in, recorded all of his lines just in a recording booth in one day, and then went home. He collected his paycheck and he went home. And I mean, I love Patrick Stewart and I love most of the films that he does, and I respect him greatly. But what the fuck was he doing? Honestly, was he just... It's a paycheck, but he doesn't need a paycheck. He didn't need to do this film. What inspired him to do this film? I'm genuinely curious what made Sir Patrick Stewart want to play the poop emoji in the Emoji Movie. Just to be clear, I was describing the plot, and I haven't given a lot of detail. I haven't really gone in depth about the plot, and that's because there really isn't one. Like, yeah, we have this plot which is supposed to be he's broken, he needs to get fixed. We have a number of subplots. But the things that happen throughout the film are supposed to develop the plot. Like if they end up in another app, something should happen inside of that app which actually does something plot related. For example, there's an entire thing about how when they are interacting with the other apps, those interactions become a problem for Alex, the human boy. For example, the Candy Crush scene that I mentioned, the best scene in film of the last 50 years, when they're in Candy Crush, they're playing the game and Alex is in class and his phone starts making Candy Crush noises, so he checks it and he's like, oh no, my phone's acting up, and so he closes the app. That doesn't do anything for the plot. If his phone got confiscated, then sure, that would be like a plot point, because he's trying to text his crush. And if he doesn't have his phone, how could he text his crush? Nothing like that happens. All that happens is they end up in apps that have noises, and Alex and his friends hear those noises, and then he closes the apps. and you're supposed to be like, whoa, it interacts with the real world? It was the most poorly executed shit I've seen in a long time. Also, I'm going to talk about the ending. I'm going to spoil the ending because no one gives a shit. Essentially, Alex, because his phone is glitching, takes it to the phone shop and he's like, hey, can you wipe its memory? Which he definitely couldn't do himself. The lady at the shop plugs it into a machine which starts to erase all of the data. And so you have Gene scrambling about while all of his friends, all of his surroundings are being deleted. Like, all of them, they're straight up dying. They're like, just disappearing, they're vanishing, everything's being completely wiped. And Gene is just in the middle of it and he's like, oh no, what can I do? He decides he's going to utilize his ability to display multiple emotions to send a multi-emotion emoji to Alex's crush. Because once he does that, and it conveys Alex's real feelings, he'll decide that he doesn't want his phone to be wiped anymore because he'll realise it's useful. This is a genuine piece of plot that happens in the Emoji Movie 2017. When all of that happens and is over and done with, Alex is like, oh no, my phone is useful after all. And when the last thing is about to be deleted, he unplugs it and everything comes back. All of the apps, all of the emojis, they all just are restored because he unplugged it from a machine. And I'm not a professional. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think that's how anything works. Also, I really want you to understand the quality of the jokes that are in this film. I'll give two examples, my two personal favourite examples. Actually, three. I've just remembered another one. Three pretty fucking iconic examples. One is when Poop, voiced by Sir Patrick Stewart, says something kind, I think. He says something nice, I can't remember exactly. But another character says, you're going soft, Poop. And he says, not too soft, I hope. That's the joke. Another is right at the beginning. Gene walks past these three monkey emojis, and they're all holding briefcases, and he says, those are some, I think he says suave attaches. Words that kids understand. He compliments their briefcases. And they say, thanks, we are going to do some business. And he says, what kind of business? And then the monkey says, monkey business. And then they all go crazy. That's a joke in the film. Then there's my personal favourite, where a character just uses a racial slur. High Five ends up in the recycling bin of the phone. Gene and Jailbreak come and rescue him, and they take him out. And the Just Dance girl is also in there, and she's like, oh, why am I stuck in here? I'm so upset. Why do I have to be stuck in the recycling bin? Why do you get to leave? I can't really remember exactly what her dialogue was, but she's distressed to be in there. And as High Five leaves, a troll, like a physical troll, because it's just a thing. Internet trolls are personified as real trolls. But anyway, as High Five is leaving, one of the trolls pops up and just calls the Just Dance girl a racial slur. For no reason. It's genuinely the most racist thing I've seen in a while. It's definitely the most racist scene in a film in 2017, and it's in the Emoji Movie, rated U, so that children can watch it. Like, it was already a bad film, and it was already doing well, and then it got racist, and then went back to being a bad film, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Was that real? Was that real? That was real. That really happened in the film. I've rewatched it. I managed to find a really shitty bootleg, so I've rewatched it multiple times. And yeah, that happened. That really happened, and I wasn't having a delusion. I mentioned in my last video that I've been doing GIFs on Tumblr for each of the films that I've watched this year, and that I've been giving them each a star rating out of 5. This one I gave a 10 out of 5. This hasn't really been a review. This has just been me describing the film. So, the voice acting was bad, the plot didn't exist, at least it looked nice because, you know, the CGI is terrific. The CGI is really good. I mean, all of these computer animated films that they've been doing recently look impeccable. So it looks really fucking good, but doesn't make up for anything. There was one joke that I found funny, really funny, right at the beginning of the film. Gene walks past an old people's home, and it's all emoticons like :D, and like, I don't think they have the XD face, but you catch my drift. And the joke is that all of them are old, like no one really uses them anymore, so they're old. And one of them falls over and goes, "Ah, my colon." And that's a funny joke. That's genuinely a funny joke that I appreciated. Happens right at the beginning. None of the jokes after that are funny. So, humour? Nah, mate. Casting? Genuinely awful. Because, I mean, James Corden is a main character, and you can't praise a film that has casting directors that decide that James Corden deserves to be the main character of a film. Watch the Emoji Movie.